Most people don't know that George Clooney has, had a mom and sisters and all that stuff. Well, they used to be my brother's babysitter. My dad put them on TV in Philadelphia back in the days of CBS. Really, it wasn't even television. It was called Kinescope. It was blue and white, not black and white TV. Talk shows started. He put Ed McMahon on with Johnny Carson. He did very, very well, to the point that, that he had a Rolls Royce that picked him up in Greenwich, Connecticut and took him to Rockefeller Plaza. I mean, and he was good at what he did. In 1968, I was 18, in the height of the hippie movement, just smoked a lot of pot, took a lot of acid, did a lot of drugs. In the middle of Los Angeles, I took off all my clothes so I could become one with the earth. And I ran around, and nobody stopped me, tackled me, arrested me, or threw me in jail, because you just don't mess with people, who are doing that. That's all. And so the next day in Hermosa Beach, which is, I don't know, 40, 50 miles south of where I was in LA, it was party time again, of which I did an extreme overdose. The people that were with me, they became very nervous about my condition. And in short, they abandoned me. They left. They didn't want the responsibility of explaining the dead body to the police. And so they just left, and I was on my own. However, I remembered about Jesus, and I called upon the name of the Lord. And I hadn't read the Bible at that time, just 2 or 3 tracts that had been given to me. And the scripture says that whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. I was saved. I was saved from that condition. And if you're not familiar with this kind of state, it doesn't matter, but I returned to my body. So some of you older hippies there, who you'll be able to figure out what that means. Well, as I said, I don't come from a Christian family, and they were really upset. They thought, oh no, the kid has had too much LSD and now he's got religion. He's going to be on this God thing for who knows however long it's going to, be. And they were they were watching me very careful. I was told more than once that he wished that I had continued just taking drugs like a normal kid. And my father asked me, "Why did you cut your hair?" He was actually pleased, because that generation didn't like long hair, or the hippie statement, or the whole mentality there. And I told him because Christ had set me free, and I had been free indeed, and I did not need any sign, any element, any billboards in my life to declare my freedom, because I was really free and I didn't have to prove anything to anybody. And it was at that point that he became really nervous, and he approached me and he said, "Would you consider going to Philadelphia for a few days of psychological analysis?" And I consented. I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll go." Because I don't know why I consented. I usually was not that easy to get along with. But I did go to Philadelphia for 3 days, and had a battery of tests and not crossword puzzles, the only jigsaw puzzles. And I had a number of objects that I had to put together, and a number of pictures that I had to balance, and a lot of redundant questions had to be answered to check my stability. And I had a lot of people looking at me through little windows for about 3 days as I was doing all that stuff. And when I came out perfectly fine. They said, "No, there's nothing wrong with him. He's okay. There's nothing, he hasn't gone off the deep end. He really is okay." And of course, I've always kind of chided my family with that I have my certificate of sanity and they don't. I'm the only one that can prove it in my whole family. I'd say it was probably 25, 30 years that I was a Christian, and my father would continually debate my Christianity with me. He never ceased to challenge me and to mock me for being a Christian. But however, he never showed that side to my wife at all. He was always very loving and amiable with her. My wife won him to the Lord. He gave his life to Christ 16 hours before he died, and my mother gave her life to Christ 1 week, 7 days exactly before she died. I am a missionary. I reach people of a different culture than my own. We have done several Bible translations. For instance, in Mexico, in Triqui, in Tuñoso, Zapoteco, Mixteco, Otomi, these are dialects that are spoken by about 6 million people. I could have stood on my father's shoulders and run TV stations and media operations and things like that he had already acquired. He was already in that position. And I simply would have walked in as heir to that. As far as parallels between our careers, I am not involved in retail marketing or rating points. I feel like I've got the message that he should have had.
How great the love of Jesus Christ. Upon the cross of Calvary, the blood was shed that pardons me. No longer bound, no more defeat. How great the love of